Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you Monday, October the 14th, the year 2019. Let's talk trading. Minding your trading business. I had a different topic that I was going to talk about, but I just got finished listening to a video that had to deal with, rich, poor, middle class. And then a trader had asked a question, posted a question out on YouTube. Are you a millionaire? And I told the trader, you need to ask better questions. I mean, and really I'm not going to say this isn't to be mean, but you have to mind your own business, mind your trading business. Um, when you go into a restaurant and the waiter or waitress hands you a menu, you select something off of the menu, and then they take your order and they cook it and they bring it out. Now, if you're looking around at what other people are ordering and rather than enjoying what you ordered, you're missing the experience. I mean, if you're like, ooh, well, or if you're like, ooh, well, that person got a bigger piece of bread or something. If your focus is totally external, you're not going to enjoy your meal. You're not going to enjoy the experience. And so, whether or not somebody else has made $1 million in trading or real estate or whatever, that doesn't really matter to you. That's not the right question. It's like, because there's plenty of people who have made millions of dollars and some of them wind up off in their life, like that one comedian who talked about what's that guy, Andrew Bourdain. He said he had the best job in the world. He flew around on these big fancy jets, got to eat all this good food, and he offed himself. We all know what happened to John Belushi, guy, and Robin Williams. So I mean, is that the right question to ask? Maybe. What would be a better question? You got to figure that out for yourself. But in the meantime, you really, traders, like I said, you really have to focus on your business. Mind your business. And in other words, what is it within your control that you need to tend to? I mean, you probably have a to-do list or a chore list that you're not tending to. You're probably distracted, maybe on Facebook. Maybe you're focusing on somebody else and your friends or families or neighbors. You get all worked up because of something you heard on the news and the radio or on TV or on internet, rather than just saying, wait a minute, let me just you know turn off all that noise, look at what I need to do to improve my life, and then work on it. And in trading, just stick with the fundamentals. Mind that part of your trading business, the fundamentals. Make sure you are executing each trade properly. Make sure your risk is appropriate for your position size and for your personality. Because as one guy put it, he's like, if you're worried about your position and you can't go to sleep, then your position size is too big. And there's all these little, bumper sticker philosophy types of things, but a lot of them are true. They sound simple because it is simple. And so, I'm not trying to be rude to the trader, but it's like, you know, I even posted, my grandmother taught me prosper and tell no man. Somebody asks you something, he just smiles like, I'm doing okay. That's all they need to know. I'm doing okay. And so many people get, lots of money, they can't handle it because you get, say you had $1 billion. Chances are if somebody gave you $1 billion, you wouldn't know what to do with it. I mean, yeah, you say you could go spend it, but you wouldn't know how to make that money work for you. So, would you know what to do with $1 million? Could you make it work for you? You probably think you could, but until you've actually had that much money, had that much in either cash or assets, you might not know. I mean, you just might wind up blowing it. I mean, look at all the ball players and other sports figures, or movie stars. In fact, I just watched a video or listened to a video last week of like the 14 or 15 movie stars, that lost millions. So, fellow trader out there, you really need, as Tony Robbins says, you need to ask better questions because I'm not really sure what you wanted to know when you ask that question, because usually the first question people ask is not really what they want to know. They want to know something. It's usually a little bit deeper, so you have to dig down and find out what that is. Maybe you could ask questions like, hey, what risk and money management? How do you do that? What about your method? You post lots of different methods. Is there one you use more than the others? And what about your execution and performance? Are you 100%, or do sometimes maybe you trip up? And why do you trip up? I mean, you could ask those type of probing questions, and you might get a nugget of something that you could use. But the answer, are you a millionaire? Does that help you in any way? I mean, you really have to understand it. I've been around the sun 63 times, 63 laps. So I've learned a little bit, you know, about things. And one of the things is not only do you ask a better question, you have to educate yourself sometimes. You have to dig, read books, go to different seminars. Don't cheap out on your education, not at all. Money and risk management, as I say every day, it's really simple. You decide how much you're willing to lose per trade. I mean, if you had $1 million in a Forex account, would you know how much risk to put on? Could you handle that position size? Every tick might be what, $100 or $1,000 or 10,000? I mean, could you handle that, or would it drive you crazy? Okay, remember, boys and girls, as we get into what's going on, that these videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine, and that trading, especially Forex trading, any trading, is extremely risky. You can lose all your money. So, that being said, if you're seeking financial advice, find yourself an accredited financial professional. That way, when they lose all your money, you know it was lost by an accredited financial professional rather than by somebody who you listen to off of YouTube or some trading forum on the internet. So, weekly yen. We see we're 10 pips above the weekly open here. It's still the daily open because it's still the first day. And so far, we've got about 49.50 pips of range. On the gap fills, we still have some pairs that haven't filled. Now, yesterday, there was some of these hadn't filled yet in here, but now they filled. So maybe a few of you took advantage of that. One trader said that the spread's too big, or something about, you're not going to make that much. You're missing the point. I mean, here you got 57 pips that has to make up, at the beginning. Here's 41, 41, 9. It's not so much the pips that you should concern yourself with, or even the spread, because sometimes I've traded, yeah, the spread might have been twice what it normally is, but it's like, if I'm going long and I see the ask price holding and the bid is possibly 8 pips away from the ask, yeah, that's a wide spread. But if that ask isn't dropping and that bid's starting to come up and narrow it, then which way's price moving? And I'm thinking, it's going to fill the gap. Yeah, I'm going to take that trade. I'm not worried about the spread. That trade still gives me the opportunity to make the profit that I seek. Maybe it's only 5 pips, maybe it's 8, maybe it's 10, or maybe it's 57. I'm not going to let that spread worry me. I'm going to watch it and see which way price is moving. Who knows? Maybe it moves away from the previous day's close and gives me even a more opportunity to make money when price turns. We are 121 pips away from the yearly open here. Month, week, and day are now up. And here's the first day of the month. As you can see, we popped out of here. I think yesterday, when I showed this, I don't think we had crossed below that monthly open, but you see we crossed below and went right back above it. So it's like playing the weekly open, the monthly open. Look for price to cross it. And then you might want to take the direction of the cross here. You would have had a nice red candle, but you see here it didn't put in a lower low. So when it went back, scratch that trade or take a pip or two profit. And then if you shifted and went long out of the buy zone, the monthly buy zone, there would have been profit to be made, or just taking that monthly crossover. Okay, we are above the October, July, June, September open. So you can see prices moving up. And look at how many ranges we are now within. From June to October, we are within, actually we're outside the September range right here, I do believe. So as you can see, it looks like price may be moving up. We got 1, 2, 3, that kind of triple. Maybe price wants to go to the 110 area. And I think I showed you this yesterday. It did break that inside bar in the monthly. Look for that to happen again. I mean, you can see here. Okay, is this recording or not? Okay, now there we go. For some reason, the computer froze for a second there. And here you can see the inside bar opportunities that are out there. And so far today, looks like we might put in an inside bar unless we get a burst to the upside or, a massive move to the downside. On the range, we've got, let's see, 3, 6, 8 pairs over 100 in range. So obviously there was some nice opportunity to make some pips there. On the highest open, lowest open, you can see where the highest opens have been, and you can see where the lowest open have been. Buy zone, I mentioned earlier we had a long trigger based on the previous week's close. It price gap down, but we had a pivot point to the bottom. So basically one bias canceled the other, but you can see here they both filled. We filled that gap, hit the buy zone, made money, came back down through the open and hit the pivot. Okay, green rats have already had some feasting opportunities. Now it's time for the red rats, looking for price to move out of the zone. And I'm thinking I might need to rerun the rat zone statistics on the dollar yen, because I think the range has been reduced, so we might have to change that rat zone. Still, I'm looking for the weekly pivot 107.87 to be taken out. We've already taken out the monthly pivot. You can see we missed that pivot here, and we missed one here this year, and of course the ones in May, April. These are the daily pivots. But as I showed you yesterday, weekly pivots, missing them is very rare. Price action, you see price really doesn't like staying within these lines. And with the dollar yen, it's taking it a couple of hours to move out. Wick zone in and out. Now we're back in. You can see here taking the trade at the previous month's high. On the tick chart, we're getting a little action. Maybe about 7 or 8 pips up and down. Einstein line, nothing much happening. And you can see we're in a bunch of wick zones here. And we're still putting in that first day's range. So, fellow traders, just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks and mind your business.